Hello there, Drew Hanish of Whiskey Lore, and it's time for another whiskey tasting. Today, doing a tasting of Benriach Malting Season, 2nd edition, the unpeated version. Now, I did a video on the peated version not too long ago, and now we're jumping in. I got a little sample bottle here from the distillery, and this is 48.9% alcohol by volume. This is whiskey that was distilled in November of, well, actually, it was malted. I think it was distilled. I have to go back and look at the notes again. Probably distilled right after it was malted, I would imagine. And that was in November of 2013. So that's going to put us around probably 8.5 to 9 years on this whiskey, which was aged in first fill bourbon barrels. Now, before I go in and I do the tasting on this, someone said, you know what? Everybody else seems to do their like and subscribe at the beginning of their episodes because not everybody always stays to the end. So like and subscribe if you like. Comment below if there's anything in this video that draws your attention. There you go. Did it. And on to doing a nosing and a tasting of this whiskey. This uses concerto barley, which a lot of distilleries are using concerto barley, hand-turned on site, put in dunnage warehouses for aging in those first fill bourbon barrels. And right on the nose, there's like citrus, honey, a little powdered sugar kind of a note, little apple, and a hint of smoke coming through. And this is non-peated, so I don't know if what I'm picking up maybe a residual kind of left over in the stills maybe from running the peated version through, but usually they do peat after they run the non-peated stuff. But it's almost like a wood smoke, just a nice soft wood smoke in there that adds a little bit of interesting character to this. Now, as I understand, they basically batch 30 barrels of whiskey to come up with this. And let's see what it tastes like. The citrus stays there. Nice. There's a toast, like a flavor of toast coming through on that. Little citrus. I get kind of a Heath Bar kind of a experience out of there. It's a toffee, but it's like a dark, kind of like like if you were cooking your caramel and probably not burning it, but probably getting it close to that point where you pick up some of those dark notes coming through. Maybe even a light char in there. It was very hard to pick out, but I think it's the vanilla also coming through a little bit on that sweet profile at the end. The nose actually improves even more after taking a sip of this. This is an interesting whiskey. It is gonna set you back some. It's more expensive than the peated version. This one's gonna be around $159.99, and so that's probably gonna keep some people from grabbing it. My thing is that man, when I'm going to spend that much for a whiskey, it's got to be exceptional. And this is good. It has a lot of stuff going on in it. It's subtle, but it's not overly subtle. And if some of these flavor notes really kind of hit your, of what I mentioned, pique your interest, the apple actually coming through even more now, I can see where you would want to invest in this. Plus, it's an opportunity to taste a whiskey that has been taken through the traditional process. So the cost of this whiskey is not only associated with the ingredients of the whiskey, but also the extra effort that goes in, because they don't always use that malting floor. They just do that periodically. And so this is something they have to hire people in to do, and it is a laborious task. Malting takes days, and it is constant hands-on work. So that's why a lot of distilleries don't do it. You see the pagodas over these Scotch distilleries. Those used to indicate that they had a malting floor, so this, and the smoke would go up through there. Now, most distilleries that have them, they're over the visitor center, and they've just moved visitor centers into where the old malting floors used to be, mainly because back in the old days, there weren't a lot of distilleries that had visitor centers. And who was it? It was Glendronach, actually, which is a sister distillery of this. When I talked to Rory Glasgow, that he mentioned that they had a visitor center way back, and we were discussing whether we thought that might be one of the earliest visitor centers around, because whiskey tourism is definitely a new thing. And those people, when they were making whiskey, there were people going, where did my whiskey come from? I want to go see the place. But I'm so glad we've gotten into that world, because visiting distilleries is so interesting, and that's why I've got over 200 of them under my belt, because I just love hearing the process and seeing how people do things differently, and getting the whole background on it, and really kind of seeing what sets one distillery apart from another. It's good whiskey. I don't know if it's worth $159, but again, it may be something that really nails it for you. I love the fact that I get an opportunity to taste it and try it and see what it's all about. I lean towards the peated one, actually. I think the peated one would be the one that, if I was going to pick one up, I would probably do that. But if you're not a peat fan, this might be your thing. Hope you enjoyed the video, and leave your comments below. And until next time, cheers and Slainte. Nice bit of grain in there too. I think that comes in with the citrus. Very pleasant drinking whiskey. I don't want to, tamp down your interest in this whiskey, because it is a quality whiskey. But price points, when they start getting into the 3 digits, and I start really thinking about, what do I want to buy, So